Hello everyone. In previous session, I have discussed your syllabus of cell biology and biotechnology, that is paper 5 of final year BSc. So in this session, I will be discussing about introduction, history of cell biology, subdivisions of cell biology and scope of cell biology. So we'll brush up with our history and the introduction. So cell was discovered very long ago, that is around 1665 by Robert Hooke. And cell biology, it is the study of structure and function of cells. So if you are studying about its molecules, if you are studying about its structure and what are the functions of the cells, each one cell organelles has got different functions. So complete study of cells, that comes under cell biology. So previously there was a conflict between histology and cell biology, but by Hertwig, he was an eminent scientist. In 1893, he clearly distinguished between cytology and histology. So in your previous year, histology was the study of tissues, but whereas cytology, it is study of cells and its function. So very important concept you might have already come across, that is cell theory. And Schwann was generally called the father of cell biology because he described the morphology and physiology of the cell for the first time. So he was the one scientist who gave the term the cell theory. So there were two scientists, that is Sheldon and Schwann, who gave cell theory, Robert Hooke, who discovered the cell, and Anton van Leeuwenhoek. He was the first person to observe the living cell under microscope. So these are some of the eminent scientists who gave their preliminary work to the cell biology. And as I was discussing about cell theory, it was proposed by Sheldon and Schwann in 1838 and 1839. So both of them were in different place. One gave about the information about plant cells and one more gave information about the animal cell, and they combined together to form one more theory, that is cell theory. So what are the objectives of this theory? So all the living cells which are present in our body, that makes a complete structure and functional unit. So all the living organisms should have, or they are made up of cells. And a cell arises from pre-existing cell. So once the cell division happens, then what happens? The haploid cell will become diploid, so it will become 2 cells. And that 2 cells again they undergo cell division, it will become 4 cells. So that is how the cell division takes place. And one more objective was the organisms of the outcome, the activities of the individual cell. So whatever activities you come across in your life in towards the single day, so that makes you individual outcome of the cell. So what and all work has to be done inside this cell, so then only your outcome will be good. So that is what we tell the basic metabolic rate. So that is the metabolic rate is given by cells. So but there are some objections. So like certain organisms, viruses, they are not made up of cells, but they act as living as well as non-living. We'll see in further classes. But there are certain organisms which do not possess nucleus also, like bacteria, blue-green algae. So usually they are having nucleoid. So this is about the brushing about your cell theory. And next, there are types of cells. So you might have already studied in your lower classes. There are two types, that is eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. So what is the difference between eukaryotic and prokaryotic? So usually prokaryotic, the example is bacteria cells, and they are single-celled organisms. But whereas eukaryotics, they contain nucleus and they are much larger in size. The cell size is much larger. And one more difference is the prokaryotic cell do not have nucleus, but whereas eukaryotic cells, they have nucleus. So let's see the difference between eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells in detail. So this is the structure of the prokaryotic cell, that is bacteria cell. So what are the different cell organelles you can make out in this? So cytoplasm, as the cell membrane is covered and you will be having the jelly like material, that is cytoplasm. There is no nucleus, so you are having nucleoid. Then the plasma membrane, it is also called as here cell membrane, and it is made up of murin or polysaccharides. And cytoplasmic membrane, there are many ribosomes, and there is a flagella which helps in movement, and pili, they help in the conjugation or the reproduction or sexual process, that helps in the reproduction of this prokaryotic cell, that is in bacteria. So whereas in eukaryotic cell, there are two different types of eukaryotic cells. One is plant cell and one more is animal cell. So if you see, it's the external structure and the internal structures, they look somewhat same, but the outline makes the difference. The plant cell is somewhat round in structure and animal cell is somewhat rectangular in structure. And the cell organelles are almost same, but there are some differences. So if you see in plant cell, the Golgi apparatus, nuclear envelope, plasma membrane, and there is a cell distance, or we call them as intercellular spaces between two different cells. Cell wall is present, whereas cell wall will be absent in animal cell. Mitochondria, ribosomes, chloroplast is very important cell organelle in plant cell because it gives green coloration. And cytoplasm, which same as the jelly like material, all the cell organelles are suspended. And there are two different types of endoplasmic reticulum, that is smooth endoplasmic reticulum and rough endoplasmic reticulum. There is a lysosome which helps, so they are having different types of functions. Whereas in animal cell, if you see, the cell organelles like nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum are of also different types, rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. And there is a mitochondrion, lysosomes, ribosomes, nucleus, nuclear envelope, but there is a centrioles which makes a difference between plant cell and animal cell. So here cell wall will be absent in animal cell, centrioles will be absent in plant cell. So this is the brief introduction towards the plant cell and animal cell. So as I was discussing about the difference between in prokaryotic and eukaryotic, so when you see the size of the cell in prokaryotic, usually they are very much smaller. Their diameter is around 0.2 to 2.0, that is in micrometer. The examples for prokaryotic cells are bacteria cells, and usually, as I said, nucleus is absent, hence they are having nucleoid. The membrane enclosed organelles like double membrane, single membrane organelles, they are absent. Flagella, which consists of a protein building block which helps in the locomotion. Cell wall usually present. There are chemically complex like mucopolysaccharides, murin, pectin, and plasma membrane with steroid. Usually they do not have plasma membrane, they are having cell wall. Cytoplasm, there is no cytoskeleton, so cytoplasmic streaming in between the cell is absent. When compared to ribosomes, they are usually smaller in size when compared to eukaryotic cells. And cell division, it is usually by binary fission, that is asexual mode of reproduction. And number of chromosomes, there is only one, but not true chromosome. So the true chromosome is absent in prokaryotic cell. So sexual reproduction, there is no mitosis there is no meiosis. Usually the transfer of DNA fragments takes place, that is by pili, that is conjugation. When you see the eukaryotic cell, usually they are much larger when compared to the prokaryotic cells. They usually measure about 10 to 100 micrometer in diameter. Examples are plant cells and animal cells. So nucleus is very prominent in eukaryotic cells, so they are present. And membrane enclosed organelles. So we know there are different types of cell organelles, that is single membrane bounded and double membrane bounded. Yes, they are present. So different types of examples are lysosomes, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, chloroplast, Flagella, usually they consist of flagella, so we call them as microtubules. So they are the component of cytoplasm, the cytoskeleton. Then the cell wall, only present in plants but absent in animal cell. But usually the cell wall, the chemical content in cell wall will be complex. And fungi, usually the chemical will be simplest form. Then the plasma membrane, yes, they consist of plasma membrane which helps in movement of solute and solvent from one cell to another cell. Cytoplasm, yes, cytoskeleton is present, that they have cytoplasmic streaming. Ribosomes, they are much larger. So usually when you will be studying 70S type and 80S type ribosomes are present. 70S types, they are present in prokaryotic, and eukaryotic, they consist of 80S type. Cell division, it occurs by sexual and asexual reproduction, but cell division it occurs to mitosis. Then number of chromosomes, more than one, and later sexual reproduction, it involves meiosis. So this is a brief difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Then the difference between plant cell and animal cell. So usually the plant cells are larger when compared to animal cells, whereas in animal cells they are much smaller. And cell wall, usually it is present in plant cell but it is absent in animal cell. Plasmodesmata, it is present in plant cell but whereas plasmodesmata is absent in animal cell. Chloroplast, it is present in animal cell and it is absent in chloroplast, it is present in plant cell and it is absent in animal cell. Vacuoles are much larger and prominent in plant cells because they contain water inside them. So during starving or whenever during non-rainy season like summer season or autumn season, these vacuoles, they are having the food granules or the water content which helps in the transpiration or respiration of a plant. Vacuoles are much larger but they are not prominent, they are temporary in animal cell. So tonoplast, it is nothing but the outer layer of the vacuole which is present in plant cell but it is absent in animal cell. Centrioles, they are absent in plant cell but whereas in animal cell centrioles are present which helps in cell division. Nucleus present along the periphery of the cell, but whereas nucleus in animal cell it is present at the center. So when you are seeing the structure of plant cell, just make a note that nucleus is near to the corners, not at the center, but whereas in animal cell it is near to the center. Then lysosomes, the suicidal bags, they are rare in plant cell but they are much abundant in animal cell. The storage material is starch grains, whereas in animal cell the storage material is glycogen granules which gives energy for the cell and hence helps in the metabolic rate or enhancing the energy. So next we will see the subdivisions of cell biology. So life science, it is a very complex subject. It's connect with the plant, it connects with the animals, it connects with the microorganisms. So these are some of the prominent branches which come across cell biology, that is biochemistry. So if you are studying about the biomolecules which are present inside our body like DNA, RNA, lipids, proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, proteins, if you are studying those characters inside the cell, so we can link the biochemistry with the cell biology. Then microbiology, if you are studying the structure and function of a bacteria inside the cell, then it is related to the microbiology. Biotechnology, if you want to make a rDNA technology cell, so that is recombinant DNA, so that is why you need two different types of bacteria or two different types of cells. You want to combine them by using rDNA technology, that is recombinant DNA, so that comes under biotechnology. Then biosciences, so the complete study of plants and animals in generalized way, where you can utilize all these fields like biochemistry, microbiology, biotechnology, that comes in biosciences. Molecular biology, very prominent field nowadays. We are using molecular biology in every aspects. For example, in plants, animals, microorganisms. We are taking those molecules, we are studying those. So if you are studying those molecules from inside the cell, then that is related to molecular biology. Genetics, so very fascinating subject or very important branch which deals with the genes of your body. So usually genes are present inside the cells, and again it is also correlated to cell biology. Bioinformatics, if you want to extract the DNA and if you want to make a barcoding, so what type of DNA you have, that all comes in bioinformatics. And how you are related to your parents, what is the clade, in which clade you come across, that is bioinformatic work. Then genomic science, so if you are studying the genome sizes and genes, what type of genes are present in your parents, so that what type of genes are overlapping inside you. So these are some of these subdivisions in cell biology which can relate to cell biology here. So next, what is the scope of cell biology? So if you know about these cells, then you should know what type of work you can do in cell biology. So nowadays, you know, the condition due to COVID-19, our health and disease states are increasing. So cell biology is a very important subject in the life science, or I can tell in zoology, which helps to develop new vaccines like Covaxin or many different types of vaccines. They are coming, still they are on trial, but cell biology is a very important field which helps in developing new vaccines and increased high technological food, that all can be done in cell biology. And forensic medical science, so usually DNA fingerprinting, barcoding, and related to biophysics, so different types of instrumentations which helps in the studying of cell biology or cells, that also give a scope to cell biology. And also to find out the criminals by using DNA fingerprinting. So these all are the scopes. And also biotechnology, as you know, genetically modified crops and animals are produced to overcome the needs of the people. So that is, the biotechnology is also related to some fields in cell biology, and which also helps in high quality food, developing high quality food which is available at the lower cost. So usually first preparing of the high quality food was more costlier when compared to now. So if you know, monoclonal antibodies or the single cell protein, the spirulina and all, they were very much costlier when during the 10 years back or 5 years back. Now if you check, they are very much easier to get, and you can get in your online websites also. So this is about your introduction about the history of cell biology. So in next session we'll move to the second subunit, so that will be in the next session. Thank you.